Sandra Valukas.
Sandra Valukas, 10,004 Highgate Circle. First, I would like to thank the board for eliminating the SAT-10 test for K through 2 this year. My husband and I chose to refuse that test last year for our younger son due to the anxiety attack that left him physically ill when he took it the year before. Please know that I am not against testing or assessment when used appropriately. I can remember taking TCAPs a few times. They were nothing to worry about and were not talked about really, except to notify us that they would be coming up, and their purpose was to see where we were for placement in our classes. Now, however, TCAP scores are being used as weapons against students and teachers. This test should not be included in student grades. It is one test out of the year, but the TCAP has such a high importance placed on it that students and parents are worried about the test even if the student has performed well all year. My oldest did horrible on parts of his 3rd grade TCAP because he was undiagnosed as ADD and didn't finish the test. How many other children who score low on these tests due to a learning disability or something else that they cannot control? I am sure someone thought that if you made the test count as a part of students' grades, they would be more motivated to take the test more seriously. That might be true for some high school students, but for elementary in particular, it is creating a culture of test anxiety. Instead of being in tears worrying about scoring high enough on the TCAP to go to the next grade or scoring well enough not to hurt their teacher, they should be worrying about whether to ride their bike or start that new book they got from the library after school. I was shocked when I was told there is a 6th grade math book that has a countdown to the big test printed on the pages. Now, I'm sure it doesn't reference the TCAP specifically, but it's enough to start the anxiety building from day one. There are schools that told parents this year that if their child's class has PE, then they do not get recess that day, but will have more class time instead. PE and recess are not the same thing. Fun learning projects are disappearing from our schools because they have to prepare for TCAPs all year long. Homework is now filled with TCAP review drills because teachers have been told to raise the scores and many feel their jobs are at stake. Just like students, no teacher should be judged on one test score, especially a test that no one gets to see and review. I would like to take a moment to thank those teachers who are telling children the truth, that this test does not define the kind of student they are, nor does it erase all their hard work they've shown throughout the year. My 6th grader had 2 days during the missed assessment where he only had 3 of his 6 classes. Only one of those days was he actually taking the test. I expected he would lose some class time on the day he took the test, but not on a day he didn't. And I'm not sure how much class time was lost the days they practiced for it the month before. He was extremely frustrated by the loss of learning time due to a test that will not be given next year and had vocabulary he didn't understand. I should have refused the test, but he was uncomfortable with the idea, so I told him if he didn't understand the question, then to type that as the answer, and he did just that for the first one. I told my 3rd grader the same thing, and while he didn't get physically ill over this test, he did have some post-test anxiety. My children were lucky to have had at least some typing instruction, while many kids at other schools had little to no instruction. What does that say about the validity of the scores we will receive? What will happen next year when we have the Tennessee Ready tests on computer? How much class time will be lost for practice in the classroom, computer labs, and the actual testing? And how much more class time are we losing this year for the pilot social studies test? Our children should not be guinea pigs for every program and test that comes along. And the fact that the state will not even share any kind of results with the schools or parents after asking kids to try this test out does nothing but increase distrust. I was having a conversation about school with my 12-year-old the other day when he brought up TCAPs. Now, I don't go talking about my issues with the schools or testing in front of him, but he started asking some of the same questions I've heard adults ask about these tests. When I explained that there is a program that rewards the state with money for the schools for testing kids each year, his response was, "How did I know it would come down to greedy people?" And because he's learning about ethics in health class, I asked him, "Do you think this is ethical?" He replied emphatically, "No, because no one knows where they are spending the money." Now, I know Knox County isn't the decision maker for these issues, and you will tell me and others to talk to the state, but we need our local Board of Education to stand up with us. I would like to see a resolution to the state saying that Knox County does not agree with the stressful impact yearly testing is having on our students and teachers, that we do not want these tests counted on our students' grades or our teachers' evaluations, And I would like to see a local policy where the board recognizes that it is a parent's right to refuse testing for their child, and those children will not be forced to sit and stare or stay home in order to avoid taking the test. There has to be a way to allow those refusing the test to read a book or do something educational during the testing period. If there aren't teachers to cover the group of students refusing the test, maybe parent volunteers could be utilized. Excellence for every child should include caring about their emotional well-being as part of their education, and the current standardized testing environment is harming many of our children and teachers, and it needs to change. Thank you.